a very very decently nice case of transformation. Uh, yeah, we are using that AI thing and a little bit of it, but
Okay.
but we have used it to the point where we needed it to be, right?
Okay.
So let me just share my screen and then let me talk you through.
Which industry was this with, though?
One of these is a very generic tool or a platform which can help you, take a decision-making process end to end. Now, it could be in any place, but this was primarily to do with the sales data or the sales environments of organizations. Okay. But the crux was to make informed decisions. The crux was not that, hey, we need to build a conversational AI or do we need to build something else, right? The crux was that you need to take informed decisions, and the informed decisions will be happening via the data you possess, right? Or that keeps flowing in through your organization. Let me show you this, right? It's pretty interesting, to be honest. So I'm sorry, it's not a hosted version that I am primarily showing off here, but this is something, it's a very seems like a very simple implementation, but I'll tell you where it is complex, right? So let's say we are entering our details and stuff and the boring parts, right? So let's say what it is so basically think about it, right? So every day you have humongous amount of data coming into your organization, and what do you do with that data, right? You obviously go through reports. The management goes through reports at the end of the month or at the end of the quarters or during the quarters. There are baseline analysis, there is short-term forecasts and everything, right? What that implies is a basis for your management or for any managerial level or any administrative level to take decisions which impacts the way the bottom lines and the top lines of a business work or turn out to be. Right? Now, that's something that requires a transformative solution, which can not only help you just take this fancy bot and you can talk to it and you can understand what's going on. Yes, you can do that. But it also requires a significant amount of understanding what is the data behind the scenes. This is something we've built, as an implementation of one of our cases, of the use cases we received, is to take data that's at many places, right? Bring it at one place and create a data lake environment which stores the data structured to a particular need. The need here being the top team leads and the leadership members need to take decisions on the basis of these reports. Now, you would have seen the data coming in many places and the whole tableaus and the whole intelligence dashboards, which are very great. Yes, this is how a transformative solution, which not only takes in data, shows you the visualization, it interprets what it is for you, right? So let's see how it works, right? And this was probably taken a long time back, and that's why it might be a bit off. But what I want to really push out for you is just this, that how data is coming into the system so effortlessly, right? And this is not singular data, right? This is data from across. If you see here, right, this is sales, the product sales, right? So it's a product sales data. Channel sales, where are you getting that data from? That's a different source altogether. Then sales by region, right? Product types, everything, right? And this is purely dynamic in nature, right? So that's how important data is to everything we do, right? And the fact is that data is always going to keep changing. The information that the transformed data, the process data contains is always going to keep changing. It keeps evolving, right? And this is what it is, right? So you need to first of all understand that piece. And even now, right, it's not about that did we want to write a conversational AI for it or anything else? The key was to understand what is the output that would come out of this. How can we process that into a simple, tangible design? And how does that get accessed by the key people involved in this or the key stakeholders involved in this process, the process of decision making? So this is how you should, and I would advise companies looking to actually do, who are talking about digital transformation or building transformative solutions to transform the way they work, the way they access data, the way they make decisions. I think this is how you do it. It's a very simple thing. You understood your gap. You don't know what your data means. You don't know what your data in X location, Y location, Z location contains. You figure out a way to get all those data together, work process on top of it, and then you make contextual derivations on top of it. Because people think in terms of context. The human brain is engineered by God, obviously, to talk in terms of context, but it is, right? So you'll understand what I'm talking about. Right?
Yeah, I think I like the place where you mentioned that data comes from different departments from within the company. I think that's another thing that people generally miss out on, because this is actually a vast thing within data, where especially when it comes to say for example sales that we're talking about at this point. So there's so many departments that come into picture, like the supply and chain, and there's inventory. There are a lot of things that come into picture. So how exactly did you just think of pulling all of this together and then making sense of the data that you have?
First of all, we are pretty smart as this.
Yes, that is true. I have to accept that.
No, we are very simple folks, right? So we don't think so complex. We don't think in terms of complicated tech. What we thought about is this, right? So we are a data and context-oriented company, right? So we work on things like what is behind the scenes. How can the entire mass of data start making sense for different kinds of applications, right? In this case, what we have eventually evolved into is a conversational assistant. But in another case, we could have worked across a solution which was merely a Q&A, question and answer solution. The front end does not matter on as much. It matters when it comes to how do you want your user groups to access the solution. But coming back to your question, Megs, there is so much of data, right? So you need to understand that this data keeps evolving and changing day in and day out, especially sales data, right? For retail companies, especially, the sales changes every day, right? And probably every day at close of days, the whole, the data gets processed from your POS systems, from different, mall systems, chain systems, and everything. It comes to probably it might come to a single location. It might not come to a single location. What we did is we solved for centralizing all of this data, right? As raw as it is, stored it in a secure environment, end-to-end encrypted at rest, in transit, and at work. And what we did is, from there, we made silos of decision-making processes, right? And for each silo, what kind of data do we need to pull? We have built a very unique system here. We have built a unique, transformation, data transformation solution. We have put it in between this front end and also the back end, right? And what we do is, as soon as you say this, for example, if you have noticed here, I asked for sales attainment. Now, what is sales attainment, right? So it's basically how much of achievement you have done in your sales, right? So a lot of people actually think about that. So this is a decision, basically. This is a information section which is important to take a decision, let's say. So what we do is, for sales attainment, we probably crisscross and combine a couple of data sets which needs to be actually transformed, and then we bring it here. So what is the data that you need? You need planned revenue and you need actual revenue. So we create these interpretative or interpretation-oriented reports on the fly. And that's how it is. That's as simple as that. But it's obviously not very simple to transform everything. but it's very simple in the way that you present it. And I think that's what transformation means to me, right? It should not be complex. It's not about making life more complicated than it already is.
True that. It's supposed to make life simpler, right?
It's absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's supposed to make it simpler. A lot of us, the place where we go wrong is that we start, trying to complicate things by using solutions, a huge number of solutions with a huge number of functions, right? It's not required. What you need is what you should build, right? That's all.
It's true that.
Right.
So this seems like a very interesting example that you've shown here. So this is for the sales within retail?
Yeah, this particular the data implementation that we are showing you is for the retail companies. And you don't need to we don't need to see this, but this is how you think through things, right? As soon as you have a decision about, hey, you know what, your sales achievement or a sales attainment has been low in particular areas, you want to investigate, you want to find out what's gone wrong. So what you do is you probably start setting up a meeting, right? So as I said, right, this is a completely different functionality. The exploratory and interpretation oriented analysis, which is behind on the screen, is a different function altogether. But to think about it, it's a logical step-by-step function. So that's how I believe digital transformation is supposed to be. It's supposed to connect end to end, one integrated thing, and bang, you got a solution, right? So that's all there is. And I think in all this talks we forgot about what we actually started with. But yeah, folks, if you're looking at this is how you're supposed to be solving your digital problems, right? So I'll push forward from here because I've shown you what I wanted to show you. The simplicity in the manner of organizing your data, then processing it and presenting it, right? So I think that's all there is to digital transformation, right? You can read up the meaning on Wikipedia. It says the same thing, right? So that's all there is to it.